So Trump came out today and said he's going to release the transcript of the phone call he had with the president of the Ukraine. And already we're starting to see Democrats move the goalpost on this. So originally, if you remember, the accusation was there was a whistleblower that said he heard a conversation with Trump and a foreign president about a promise or something like that, and there was something shady. Then it came out that it was probably the president of the Ukraine, and then it came out that he was seeking to get the investigation into Joe or Hunter Biden reopened, or evidence of possible corruption given to Trump or his team. And that was considered very bad. And the thing that was bad about it, what was being attached, was that there was this idea of a quid pro quo. That's been what was reported this morning, which my previous video was on, which you should check out, which is now people are saying, oh, the fact that a week before he talked with the president of the Ukraine, Trump withheld aid. Now, Trump says there were other reasons that I withheld the aid. He said that a lot of people were saying other countries should have to pay the aid to the Ukraine, so that's why he was going to hold it. But then ultimately he capitulated. Who knows what the truth is? But they're saying that's proof alone that what Trump did was a quid pro quo. Now, we know at the same time, as my previous video showed, that Biden actually did use a quid pro quo. He actually did threaten to withhold money unless they fired a prosecutor, the same prosecutor that happened to be investigating his son. As an aside, we know that it then got kicked to an agency in the Ukraine that helped the Democrats in the 2016 election and had repeatedly tried to bury or downplay stories that could affect the Democrats, such as John Solomon reports. They say there's evidence of one Democratic donor who was alleged to receive improper payments that wasn't announced publicly because the Obama administration exerted pressure on this agency, the NABU. So basically, Biden pressured to get a prosecutor removed that was looking into his son, and then it got kicked to an agency that was friendly with the Obamas and Bidens and listened to them when they exerted their pressure. We know that quid pro quo happened, though. We know at the very least that it did happen, that Biden threatened money for the express purpose of getting this prosecutor fired who happened to be looking into his son. So now what we're going to find out is most likely there wasn't a quid pro quo. That's what Trump's been saying all along. And that's why he's going to release the transcripts. And already you're seeing Democrats say, well, it doesn't matter. You don't need it to be the quid pro quo for it to be somehow impeachable or somehow corrupt. So I would like journalists, which this won't happen because we don't have good journalists in this country anymore, or at least there's very few of them. I would like them to ask the Democrats today, what exactly hypothetically could be on this phone call transcript that you would say is reasons for impeachment? Because they're going to have to say, if they just say, well, if it was a quid pro quo, fair enough, then it's not a quid pro quo, then they won't push for impeachment. But I think what they're going to try to say once we see the transcript come out is, you can't have someone in the executive branch asking a foreign country to do some sort of investigation into potential opponents of yours in the United States elections. And if that's their argument, I just want to get them on record, because if that's the argument, then I have some bad news for them about the previous administration of Barack Obama. Because we're going to see over and over again that they actually worked with other countries in their investigation of Donald Trump. An investigation, by the way, that we're going to find out was started on false pretense with unverified evidence that was used to spy on people connected to the Trump campaign. So, for example, we're going to see that certain UK assets were used to spy on George Papadopoulos. We're going to see that Joseph Misfit, who may have been the start of the whole thing, may very well have been a UK intelligence asset. We know for a fact that Obama went to a former MI6 operative named Christopher Steele, or Obama's administration went to him to get evidence in their investigation against Donald Trump. We know that they contacted other countries to get evidence of their investigation into Donald Trump. So why would that be considered legitimate? Either it's legitimate to ask a foreign country for evidence against possible crimes and another politician in this country, or it's not. It's that simple. The media had no problem, nor did the Democrats, with the public knowledge that this is what the Obama administration had done. Now all of a sudden they have a problem and they're going to say it's impeachable. So look for that. But the other way that they're moving the goalposts is now we're seeing media people come out and say, actually releasing the transcript's not enough. So, for example, we see Maggie Haberman from the New York Times saying, well, actually the whistleblower complaint had more than just allegations of this phone call, so we need to see everything. That's ridiculous. The allegation was that this phone call with the Ukrainian president was somehow improper. He's going to release what the phone call was. You can't say, well, we want to see everything. These are the same people that want to keep everything buried when it comes to allegations of the FBI or the Obama administration. They say, oh, the FBI can't release that information. It has to be redacted because sources and methods, lives would be at stake if we release this info. They say this constantly. Every single time it comes to showing corruption in the intel agency of the Democrats, oh, we can't show that information. But with Trump, he's alleged to have said something on a phone call. Trump says, fine, I'll release it. Just like Trump's administration and Barr never had to release the Mueller report. He said, fine, I'll release it. He's being transparent, leaving people make up their own minds. The media doesn't like that. They want to make up their minds for the people. And so they say, actually, the transcript, that's not good enough. We need more. Then you have people like Chris Hayes from MSNBC who's saying, actually, we can't trust that Trump's releasing of the transcript will be accurate. Trump's so corrupt, and we already know he's guilty. So therefore, if the evidence doesn't prove he's guilty, that must prove that Trump manufactured the evidence. And these are supposed journalists that are making these types of arguments. By that same theory, I could say everything that's ever been used to exonerate. I could say James Comey just made up the evidence he used to exonerate Hillary. I could say all sorts of things. This is absolute craziness. And so it just goes to show, no matter what Trump does, there'll be another witch hunt. If he's totally exonerated, if he releases every call and every document he has about the Ukraine and it proves him innocent, they'll still say, nah, he's guilty. And, by the way, moving on to the next scandal. That's all they do. They're constantly going from, it was Russia, it was Stormy Daniels, it was obstruction, it was Trump's a racist. They just bump from one thing to the next. Remember, things that they've got votes to impeach him before, calling countries S-hole countries, going after members of the squad. Those were grounds for impeachment for 60-something people in the Democratic Party. You think they're going to stop? So even when they get what they want and Trump goes beyond what he has to and is going to release this transcript, they're still shouting impeachment. And remember, they're shouting impeachment before they've seen any of the evidence. Something like 160, 170 people have said already, yes, there's grounds for impeachment. And they don't have any of the evidence. You know, it's like I tweeted earlier. I said, you know, the old saying, when you say everything is racist, nothing is racist. In other words, if everything you see is racism, it waters down actual racism. Well, the same is true of impeachment. If everything's impeachable, then nothing's impeachable. And that's what the Democrats are doing. Impeach Kavanaugh based on a third-hand rumor of even the victim saying it didn't happen. Impeach Trump because he talked mean to the members of the squad. Or we have a whistleblower that CNN's reporting didn't even hear the phone call say that he heard something secondhand. Those are all reasons for impeachment. They really believe that. Well, once you cry wolf so many times, people are tired of hearing it. So, yeah, I look forward. I'll be doing some videos tomorrow when it comes out, when the transcript comes out and goes through it. And let me just say, to be totally consistent, if the transcript would come out and offer a really bad quid pro quo where Trump was like, I'm not going to give you money until you find dirt on Biden for us, that would be a bad thing. But we'll see. Trump's claiming that isn't what it shows. And I'm betting, knowing that he knows it's going to be released tomorrow, that it's probably not going to show that. So once more, Democrats moving the goalpost and once more, not really caring about corruption. Keep in mind, they're going to go after Trump for his non-quid pro quo when they had no problem with Biden's actual quid pro quo. So, hey, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter and BitChute. And look for me to put out more material. And please recommend me some other people. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks, everyone, and have a good one.